I can't wait to sit in a bath, sewing my socks, shining my shoes, and wearing my shark hat.
Dad, we really want you to enjoy this. We couldn't leave you alone, not after what happened.
It was an isolated incident.
Yes, well, there's no point in going over old ground.
Absolutely. Well, I'll see you in 2 weeks, then. Don't be surprised if I'm still sitting here.
You'd be a damn fool. Places like this are bloody nice.
Places like this are the equivalent of a kennel. When you go on holiday, pets go into kennels and elderly relatives go into places like this.
You could have a very pleasant 2 weeks here if you weren't so determined to be miserable.
I do not enjoy being surrounded by old people.
Mr. Carmody, I'm Miss Glaister, resident physiotherapist and general dog's body, and I always make it a point of greeting our guests and explaining the room.
Oh, really? Have your guests so little experience of rooms? What is their natural habitat? The Serengeti, the Arctic tundra?
My father's a little unhappy at being dumped. At least that's how he sees it.
That's exactly how it is, Arthur. I don't mind accepting that fact, but I do object to your dressing it up as a little treat for the old man.
So, is he going to settle in?
Just drive.
Almost finished. Likes and dislikes.
I like privacy and I dislike personal questions.
Very well. I'll leave you to get your bearings.
Thank you.
Mr. Carmody, this is not a prison. And though you may not believe it, we actually have guests who keep coming back, year after year. Tea is served in the main lounge at 4 o'clock.
Which way is the town?
You mean the shopping centre?
The shopping centre in the town.
Well, there is a shopping centre in town, but it's not as near as the one off Downing Road. Are you driving?
Walking.
Well, in that case, you'd best go to the one off Downing Road.
Let's start again, shall we? I mean, the front, the seafront, is that anywhere near Downing Road?
Oh, no, that's at the bottom of the town. But it's nowhere near the shopping centre.
How far?
What?
The seafront.
1.5 miles. It's not so bad going down because it's downhill, but coming up is uphill, so you'd best get a taxi.
Oh, yes, I will.
They said it was going to rain this afternoon.
Oh, dear me. Well, I left my shark hat in the bathroom.
Yeah, where to?
I'm looking for an hotel.
Hey, what sort of price?
No, I don't need an hotel. I have an hotel. I just seem to have mislaid it.
What's the name of it? What's it called?
I don't know.
What, you mean you've forgotten?
I doubt I ever knew it. I wasn't paying particular attention when I arrived.
And you don't know where you're staying?
No.
Oh, this is the first. This is. Can you give me a clue?
It's a large, imposing building overlooking the sea.
Well, there's about 15 like that in this place.
It has a large garden.
Well, they've all got large gardens.
Look, just drive around, will you? I'll know it when I see it.
Did you bring your room key?
No.
Well, have you got a receipt?
No, nothing.
Nothing. Is that no receipt, nothing, or no money, nothing?
I left my wallet for safety in my room.
How much money have you got?
Oh, some loose change. Look, find the hotel, will you? You'll be paid in full. Now, don't look at me like that. I'm completely trustworthy. Well, of course, the place looks quite different at night.
Yeah, don't we all?
You stay here.
Oh, no, I don't think so. After all, you forgot the name of the hotel, didn't you?
I told you, I forgot to make a note of the name of the place when I went for a walk.
Got the same distance. Who's to say that you won't forget that you owe me £12 on the clock?
Don't be impertinent. My key, please.
Yes, of course, Mr. Carmody. Can you remember your room number?
Yeah, you'll be lucky.
Oh, here it is. Number 316.
316. You got that?
Young lady, I'm going to my room and I shall be returning almost immediately. If this man makes any attempt to follow me, I'll be very grateful if you will take steps to have him removed from the hotel. Is that understood?
Hey! Hang on a minute. You know, I've really got to hand it to you. You've got some nerve.
Yes, and limited patience.
Look, I'm the one who had to have the patience. Or driving you around all afternoon because you didn't know where you were staying.
I'm so sorry. That's stupid of me. Are you all right? Look, I was an absolute idiot blundering out like that.
You didn't happen to play rugby as a boy, did you?
Rugby, sorry.
Not important. I seem to have dropped my book.
Oh, allow me.
Thank you.
Once again, my profuse apologies.
No great harm done. Just took me by surprise, that's all. American football, perhaps? And perhaps not.
I thought I'd save you the trouble of coming back down. And the woman at the desk said not to worry. Well, it happens all the time, guests forgetting where they're living. But all these hotels look the same. Well, you know that. After all, you saw enough of them this afternoon, didn't you? Well, 20, I've got change in the taxi.
It's not necessary.
Well, thank you very much. Look, if I was out of line back there, I apologise. Well, after all, we're all going to grow old one day.
Yes, one day we undoubtedly will.
Mr. Carmody, reception told me about your afternoon. I hope it wasn't too upsetting.
Well, I'll be off then.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
What's that?
oh, my card, in case you need a taxi. And my name's Derek. And, what's the name of this hotel again?
Look, just go away, will you?
The Tregenna Castle Hotel. 316.
I'm afraid you've missed your dinner. Perhaps you'd like some sandwiches.
I don't think so. I'm feeling a little groggy.
Oh. Well, in that case, I'll leave it to rest.
What kind of sandwiches?
Ham, roast beef, cheese.
Could you do roast beef with horseradish sauce?
I think we can manage that.
I'm not hungry, you understand, but I might get peckish later on.
Of course.
And, Miss... I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name.
Miss Glaister.
Miss Glaister, I'd be very grateful if nothing was said about my little jaunt this afternoon.
Oh, you don't have to worry. Our staff are very discreet.
But given the age of your guest, there's not much to be discreet about.
I think you'd be surprised.
What does that mean?
As I've said, Mr. Carmody, we're very discreet. Hey, Mr. Carmody. This is table 4, and I think you'll find it very pleasant. This is Miss Dean. How do you do? Mrs. Carmichael.
Good morning.
Mr. Prager.
Welcome.
The vacant chair belongs to Mrs. Palmer, who I'm sure will be joining you shortly. Table 4, this is Mr. Carmody.
Morning.
Oh, before I go, I would just like to mention my lecture program again. If any of you would like to give a little talk about your life or your work, there are a few evening slots available next week. I'm on already to talk about patchwork quilts. That's Tuesday, isn't it? Yes, Tuesday. It's really male speakers we're short of. What about you, Mr. Prager?
You couldn't print my experiences, let alone speak about them.
I really meant work experience.
Those you wouldn't be interested in.
I'm sure you're just being modest.
For 40 years, I was the biggest manufacturer of elastic in the East End.
Oh, that's fascinating.
What elastic keeps up may be fascinating, but the stuff itself is dull. It stretches, it shrinks. What more is there to say?
What about you, Mr. Carmody?
No, out of the question, I'm sorry.
Well, do give some thought, won't you? Enjoy your breakfast.
Excuse me,
Oh,
ma'am.
awfully sorry.
Thank you so much.
Will you be with us for Christmas, Mr. Carmody?
I sincerely hope not.
Oh, but it's very nice here, especially at Christmas.
Yes, I'm sure.
Don't have the bacon.
I beg your pardon.
Better you should chew my elastic.
Mr. Breaker's from Yugoslavia.
And you are from...
Bristol.
But before that, what part of Europe?
Bottling.
Miss Dean's from Shrewsbury, and I'm from Milford Haven.
Oh, indeed.
I'm not Welsh, but my husband was in the Fleet Air Arm and we were stationed there. Fell in love with the district, so naturally when he retired we moved back. And what did you do, Mr... Oh, I'm so sorry. What was your name again?
Comedy.
I knew a Leicester comedy when we lived outside Penrith. It's an unusual name. What would you like, sir?
Solitude and peace.
Sorry?
Tea and toast will do nicely, thank you.
I was saying, it's an unusual name.
The time?
Know your name?
9:45.
No. We were talking about your name, Mr. Comedy.
But it must be. I wound it up before I came down.
We were discussing your name.
Sorry?
Your name?
Mrs. Carmichael was saying, what an unusual name you have.
I'm afraid it's clogged up again.
What is?
Well, I have this recurring ailment, intermittent wax.
What kind of wax?
They've tried syringing it, but nothing gets through.
Can you hear me now?
You won't think it rude if I read my newspaper, will you? Then you can forget all about me.
Well, if you don't mind being left out of the conversation.
Yes, the Daily Telegraph. I've taken it all my life. I always find the obituaries so comforting, don't you think? They're the first thing I read in bed in the morning. If I'm not in, I get up.
Poor fellow.
Yes.
Yeah?
I'm sorry, sir. I left it as long as I could.
Oh, you want to do the room?
I won't be 5 minutes.
Could you take off the wrap around the sheets? They make the bed smell like a gymnasium.
Yes, sir. I have to lock up now, sir. Sir?
What? Yes, of course. I'm in your way, aren't I?
I'll only be a few minutes more.
No hurry, no hurry. Take a walk. Yeah, it will do me good. Good morning. Are you all right? We bumped into each other last night.
Oh, the rugby player. No, I'm fine, thank you.
This is really very clumsy of me.
Not at all.
I think we're neighbors, you know.
We are?
Yeah, let me see. There we are. 316.
317.
Well, that makes sense. Well, I won't disturb you anymore.
It's all right.
Just one other thing. That music you were playing last night.
When?
Last night. Well, this morning, actually.
Oh, I hope I didn't disturb you.
Oh, no, not at all, not at all.
I sometimes have trouble sleeping, and music helps.
Yes, I know just what you mean. I always find sleeping difficult first night in a strange bed. It was a violin I heard. About 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning? Oh, how selfish of me.
No. It was... I mean, the music was strangely comforting.
The piece you heard was The Lark Ascending by Vaughan Williams. I play it a lot.
Vaughan Williams.
Do you know his music?
No, but I saw him conduct once.
Vaughan Williams. Oh, really?
Yes, big man. He wore a crumpled suit. I mean, the real conductor was in the full dicky, of course, but Vaughan Williams came out of the audience looking remarkably old. My God, that's hard.
What is?
Just occurred to me. That ancient man is probably younger than I am now. Well, I must get on with my walk and let you get back to your book. The Lark what?
Ascending.
Well, good morning.
Good morning. Carmody, how's the wax situation?
Sorry?
The wax in your ear. Has it settled down yet?
The weather.
No, not the weather. The wax.
Yes, I went for a walk, but luckily the rain held off.
Good. Oh, here comes Mr. Prager and our fifth member. You won't have met Mrs. Palmer. She wasn't at breakfast this morning. This is Mr. Carmody. He has trouble with his hearing. Does he really?
He has earwax that comes and goes.
Conversation is out of the question, but he's really quite pleasant. Mr. Carmody, this is Mrs. Palmer. I've written it down. This is Mrs. Palmer. And our little party is complete. This must have happened very suddenly. It did. Mrs. Carmichael was talking to him at breakfast, and it suddenly went. Really? He seems to have trouble with his eyesight as well. But perhaps someone should order for him. Oh, I'm sure he can manage. You don't want anyone to order for you, do you, Mr. Carmody? You can manage, can't you? Mrs. Palmer is asking if you wish someone to order for you.
There is no need to shout. My condition is not too bad at the moment.
So the wax has waned.
I'm so sorry. It must be dreadful to be deaf, particularly when you're so fond of music. Is he fond of music? Are you fond of music, Mr. Carmody?
Muesli? No, I'm not particularly fond of muesli.
Mrs. Palmer.
I'm afraid. I'm so sorry. I've lost my appetite. Will you excuse me?
Really, Mrs. Palmer, a fellow human being's affliction is hardly a call for mirth. It's nervous laughter. Please excuse me.
Forgive me for saying so, Mrs.
Palmer?
But you really didn't make things very easy for me, you know.
Easy for you? Don't be ridiculous.
What?
Well, I was the one that got told off for giggling. And what a pathetic excuse for ignoring everyone.
Well, it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. I mean, that Mrs. Watson never stopped talking. I'm afraid I'm not very good in the mornings.
Neither am I.
I really don't quite know what to do about it, this deafness thing. It's becoming a bit of an embarrassment.
I should have a miraculous recovery if I were you. Otherwise, we'll all have headaches from shouting at each other.
Good luck.
A guide to the myths and legends of the area. My faithful companion.
You're down here alone, are you?
Yeah.
Your husband not with you?
Oh, my husband's been dead for many years.
Well, so's mine. Well, my wife, I mean. Well, not my husband. Naturally enough. Well, was that your husband in the picture?
What?
The photograph in your room?
You were in my room?
Well, I mean, they were cleaning our rooms, and so I stepped outside for a minute, and absentmindedly stepped into yours. It was only for a second or so.
No.
Sorry.
The picture was not of my husband.
Interesting machine you have. With the tapes.
Oh, my ghetto blaster. Well, that's what my nephew calls it.
Music means a lot to you.
Yeah. I played and taught piano for years.
Really? Yes, my wife played the piano. Very badly.
Oh, I'm sure she didn't.
Oh, she did, but with great gusto. We used to keep the piano in the box room, and she'd go on in, she'd shut the door, and she'd bang away. It was exactly the right sound level. It muffled all the wrong notes, but the gist of the thing got through.
And you like a good tune, don't you?
Ah, yes. Give me something you can whistle.
Do you do a lot of whistling?
Well, not out loud. Mentally.
And how did you make your millions, Mr. Carmody?
I didn't make millions.
No, you were very prosperous.
I didn't do badly.
At what?
Stockbroking.
Oh, so you're a stockbroker. I would never have guessed.
You laughing at me again?
No, I wouldn't dream of it. Mr. Carmody, Feeling better?
Much better, thank you.
Oh, I'm so pleased. You can both be on my team.
What?
We're playing Give Us a Clue.
But Mrs. Palmer is reading.
Oh, not important. Well, it's been on the notice board all week. Main lounge, 4:30, Give Us a Clue. And I'm team captain. How are you now, Mr. Carmody? They're both going to be on our team. Oh, I hear you're going to be on our team. We can hear you now, Miss Dean.
I'm really quite hopeless at this sort of thing, you know.
Now, no false modesty, Mr. Carmody. You're going to be a great asset. All that miming you have to do when you're deaf. It's really very easy. You must have seen the television program. This is a book. This is a film. A play. A television show. And then we break it down into words and then into syllables. This is words and this is syllables.
I really can't do this.
It's just charades under another name.
I'm sorry, but I'm no good at making a fool of myself.
Oh, I'm sure you'll manage beautifully. Very good. Well done. Now, I think we'll give this one to Mr. Carmody.
I really can't do this.
Oh, have a go. Or I'll tell Table 4 what a fake you really are. Now, don't hurry it, Mr. Carmody. We're only 3 points behind. There's still time to catch up. Ready?
I really do wish somebody else would do this.
2 minutes for your team to get it, and I'm starting the clock now. Come on. Come on, Mr. Carmody. Don't just stand there. Is it a play, a book, or a film?
A film.
Half a point off for talking. No talking, Mr. Carmody. If it's a film, it's this. Oh, it's a film. Oh, film. How many words? 4. 4 words. Now, first word. How many syllables?
What?
I'll have to penalise you again if you persist in talking. Can you mime it? Can you mime the first word? Does it sound like anything? Does it rhyme with anything? Well, it must sound like something. 1 minute gone. Well, don't just stand there. Do something. The second word. The second word. Second word. Well, the next word. Any word. Fourth word. Do you mean the fourth word? Fourth word. Go. Glass blowers. 30 seconds left. Hairdryer. Trees. Fit. Breathless. Blowing. 10 seconds left. Wind. Fourth word. Wind. Gone with the wind. Yes! Just crept in under the bar. That's 5 points, minus half a point for talking, makes Mrs. Carmichael's team 1.5 points ahead. Now it's Mrs. Wilkinson. Well done, you two.
Well guessed.
I'd be very careful, Mr. Carmody.
Why?
Well, you might start to enjoy this kind of thing. And then Mr. Carmody's mime clinched the contest. Oh, yeah, I was just telling Mr. Brager, give us a clue.
Oh, sure, Luke. No sign yet of Mrs. Palmer.
Obviously not joining us this evening.
Inspector?
She would be here by now.
Was she all right?
I've not seen her.
Has anyone checked?
Checked.
Yes, phoned her room or anything. I mean, she might be ill or something.
I ready to order, sir?
Yes. Oh, no, look, I left my glasses in my room. Will you excuse me for a minute?
I can read the menu for you.
I wouldn't dream of troubling you.
There's no trouble. It's a very short menu.
Mrs. Palmer?
Oh,
Are you all right?
yes, of course.
Well, I noticed that you weren't at dinner.
No, I signed up for the outing tomorrow, so I thought I'd have an early night.
Oh, yes, the outing tomorrow. Where are we going again?
You signed up for it too?
Well, anything to get out of this hotel.
St. Michael's Mount.
Oh, yes, of course, in Michael's van. Now, Well, see you tomorrow then. Von Williams?
Poulenc.
Blanc?
Poulenc.
Oh, yes, of course, Poulenc. I've never had him.
Oh, good night, Mr. Carmody.
Good night. Poulenc. Poulenc. Tomorrow's outing.
Yes, Mr. Carmody?
Is there room for one more?
According to ancient legend, the mount is dedicated to the Archangel Michael, who appeared before some fishermen in the year 495. It then became the hallowed place of countless Celtic saints. It is also connected with the romantic legend of Tristan and Isolde. The hermit Ogrin was sent here by King Mark to buy for Queen Isolde her wedding gift of finest silk. The present castle is built on the foundations of a Benedictine friary, built by the monks of the Abbey of Mont.
You sat on the bus with Mrs. Palmer.
Yes.
Very beautiful woman. Striking. Don't you agree?
I really haven't noticed.
Oh, come now, Mr. Carmody. Don't pretend you haven't got her in your sights.
What are you talking about?
You and I have the European approach to women.
I'm not European, I'm British.
We are both hunters. It wouldn't do for us to stalk the same duck, get in each other's way, and then go home empty-handed.
How dare you?
Say the word, and I will not pursue her.
Pursue her, you ridiculous little man.
Then you are interested.
Interested? I'm outraged.
For why?
For one thing, it's no concern of yours whether I'm interested or not.
You have my word, Mr. Carmody. I will not trespass. There are other ducks in the pond.
That I find equally offensive. Likening Mrs. Palmer to some kind of waterfowl.
You misunderstand. I am being poetic.
Poetic? You haven't got a poetic bone in your body.
What's the matter now? You've a face like thunder.
I doubt you want to hear.
I wouldn't have asked.
That Richard Prager man had the temerity to suggest that he and I were competing for your affections.
Are you?
Certainly not. And if I've given any impression to the contrary, then I apologize.
Do you think Mr. Prager will make a play for me?
He undoubtedly intends to.
Oh, cool.
How can you accept such a thing?
Oh, poor Mr. Carmody. You don't have much fun, do you?
Fun?
Well, life is essentially ridiculous. Once you understand that, you can start to enjoy yourself. Now, come on. Have you got it all in?
Most of it. What do I press? This red thing.
Yeah. Shall I take one with you in it?
Well, only if you want to break the camera.
Mr. Carmody.
What?
You made a joke.
Well, I make jokes all the time.
Really?
All the time.
Well, you must point them out to me. They're obviously far too clever. Ah. This is the most romantic coastline. King Arthur, Merlin, and my particular favorites, Tristan and Isolde.
I thought they were German.
Oh, no. They were both true Celts. She was from Ireland, he was Cornish.
Ah.
Oh, look.
What?
Daisies.
Yeah.
But it's December, Mr. Carmody. Daisies in December.
What?
Don't you find that strange?
Well, it's fair, sir. But it's so mild, I forgot what month it was.
Mr. Carmody, you took your tie off. Hallelujah.
Oh.
No, don't hide it. It makes you look festive. Could we sit down for a bit? Have you been alone since your wife died?
For a while. But then circumstances made me move in with my son and his family.
No, that's not what I meant. Have you met someone else?
My age?
What's wrong with your age?
Well, if you have to ask that, look what a fool Mr. Prager makes of himself. Setting his sights on you as though you're a duck.
I'm flattered.
Don't be that ridiculous little squirt.
He's probably wonderful in bed.
I really think it's time we went back to join the others.
All right. Ah,
What's wrong?
nothing. I got up too quickly. It'll pass.
Should I get help?
Just give me a moment. There. You see? All better.
Take my arm.
Thank you. In the lounge, Mrs. Palmer. The locals are giving a recital of Gilbert and Sullivan. Oh, I think not. The sea air has quite exhausted me. Sounds like they're off already. Save me a chair by the front. I must powder my nose. Coffee in the lounge, Mr. Prager?
I cannot imagine anything more pleasure.
I see the duck season is in full swing.
You don't fancy Gilbert and Sullivan?
Another time, perhaps.
You know, I rather enjoyed our conversation this afternoon.
So did I.
Well, I was just wondering if you'd care to continue it, so to speak, over dinner tomorrow evening.
Mr. Carmody, are you asking me out?
Well, it's difficult to get a word in edgeways when Mrs. What's-her-name starts talking. I'm not setting my sights on you or anything. Just a bit nice to have a quiet dinner for a change.
You do realize that if neither of us turn up, table 4 will be a hotbed of gossip and supposition?
Bugger table 4. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's all right. Bugger table 4.
Hello?
Is that Derek's cabs?
Derek speaking. Who's it?
I'm the chap who got lost.
Oh, yeah. But what's happened now?
I'm looking for a restaurant.
Don't tell me you've wandered off in the middle of lunch.
It's for this evening. I want good food, a decent one cellar, and not too many stairs.
Do you mind French?
Well, not if the food's good.
Le mange too. Do you want me to make a reservation?
You wouldn't be getting a commission, would you?
Oh, you've got such a suspicious mind.
All right, make the reservation. And call for us at 7.
What's the name of your hotel again?
The in the castle.
Oh, you're getting better then. Bye.
Mr. Carmody, you've gone too far.
I haven't, have I?
Well, I feel quite dowdy in comparison.
You look absolutely radiant. Oh, should I go and change?
Oh, no, don't you dare. Now, I'll get my purse.
We could always leave separately if you're worried about the gossip.
I didn't dress up like this to be anonymous.
Lardy bloody da.
Thank you.
I don't wear this hat for everyone, you know.
I'm sure everyone is very grateful. This is the 89, is it? I mean, I seem to remember it being a little drier than this. That's fine, thank you. The loveliest woman in the room.
Thank you, Mr. Carmody.
I do wish you'd call me Gerald.
All right. I'm Catherine.
Yes, I know. I sneaked a look at the hotel register.
Did you now? Was all that genuine?
Of course.
Only my husband used to make a great production of sniffing the cork, swilling it around, gargling. Oh, I didn't mean to imply that you were as phony as he was.
Was he?
Well, not in every department.
I don't mean to pry.
Oh, it's all right. Women found him very attractive. And he invariably found them irresistible.
I see.
I put up with the excuses and the lies for as long as I could. There were no children. But a marriage is a marriage. This is so strange.
What?
Well, I've never told anybody about this before. And Mr. Carmody was a most unlikely confidant.
My God, I'm so sorry.
You don't have to apologize. Let's dance.
Dance? I don't dance.
Everybody dances.
Catherine, I do not dance. I have never danced.
Gerald, I'm standing here, and if you don't join me shortly, I'll grab the first wager that comes around, if only to save face.
But I haven't danced in years. Then I was dreadful.
I'll be the judge of that. And here. The other one here. No, try not to fall over.
I'm not as bad as that. Catherine, why do you enjoy making a fool of me so much?
You're not a fool. Besides, who's watching?
If anyone were.
You'd think, lucky man, that a gorgeous woman like me should shuffle around the floor with such a terrible dancer.
Then why do you make me do it?
Because it gives you an excuse to hold me. And suddenly, I want to be held very badly. You know, with a bit of practice, you could be a very good dancer.
I don't think Fred Astaire need worry.
It was a lovely evening, Gerald.
Do you have any outings planned for tomorrow?
I thought I'd do a little exploring locally.
Well, I'd be only too happy to show you around.
You know the district?
Like the back of my hand. Been down to the seafront, the shopping centre, around all the hotels.
All right. You can give me a guided tour after lunch?
After lunch? All right.
Sounds like your phone.
Yes, it does.
Good night, Fred.
Good night, Ginger. Yes?
Grandad, it's
Stephen,
Stephen.
how are you?
Great news. Mum and Dad's been buried by an avalanche. You can come out of this now. We need flag. Shut up, Bograt.
What's that?
Oh, Dad says he can make the arrangements.
Well, look, Stephen, it's very good of you, but look, let me talk to your father.
Dad, are you going to join us?
Arthur, look, I really am very touched that you should want me, but I can't possibly leave here at such short notice.
What? Are you all right? Have you met anyone interesting?
Oh, no. They're all deadly dull, but the place itself has distinct possibilities. I mean, they organize all sorts of outings, and there's a fairly decent shopping center not too far away. Well, nothing very exciting. And I still have my reservations about being forced to mix with people I don't really know. Well, on the other hand, there's always a chance that you might meet a kindred spirit. Well, not that I have, you understand, but the possibility exists. I mean, that's the important thing. Yeah, and the town itself is really quite pretty. It's a decent enough seafront, all the usual attractions. Now, believe me, Arthur, I really appreciate that you and the boys have gone to so much trouble, but whatever else I am a stayer. So I'll just grit my teeth and weather it out no matter how grim it gets. Catherine,
Yes,
you don't know where the TV lounge is, do you?
I haven't looked for it.
Well, I just happened to notice a brief encounter is on this evening.
The film?
Yes.
Oh, I haven't seen that in years. What time?
9:30. Yeah, about 11ish.
I'll cry like a drain.
Well, so will I, probably.
It's been years since I had a night out at the pictures.
Me too. As a matter of fact, I think the last time was probably the first time I saw a brief encounter.
Mr. Carmody, you've got a date.
How could he miss that?
You never pulled that.
Easy.
Celia Johnson, Trevor Howard, that counts.
What a pillar.
Just in shop for...
What is it next Thursday, the same time? I couldn't possibly, please. I ask you, no Sunday. You miss your train.
You're not angry with me, are you?
No, I'm not angry. I don't get anything really, I just feel tired.
Forgive me.
Thursday.
Whatever your dream was, you were really happy one morning.
Catherine?
You certainly enjoyed that.
Did I not laugh?
Well, not that you notice. See you in the morning. Good night.
Catherine? Catherine, I think you left something in my room. Oh, my dear girl.
What time is it?
I don't know. How are you?
Better.
What was it?
Oh, something I ate.
No, you were in agony.
Oh, it's gone now.
Well, at least you should see the nurse.
At your arm.
Well, used to be.
Darling, I should have moved it.
After the first hour, I don't think I could have, even if I'd wanted.
Better?
I think I preferred it where it was. Catherine, when you got up from the bench that day on St. Michael's Mount, it was the same thing, wasn't it?
It was a dizzy spell, I told you.
Catherine, I'd rather you didn't.
What happened?
Well, I was in the fire. It looks much worse than it is.
Anyone else involved?
No. Only me. My house, my responsibility, my stupidity. I put a pan of water on to boil an egg. I looked out of the window. I hadn't touched the garden for months after Margaret died. But it was spring and the weeds were coming up through the lawn, so down I went and I set to work. Of course, the water in the pan went dry. And set fire to an oven glove, dishcloth or something. The kitchen caught on fire. By the time they arrived, the whole house was ablaze. I tried to rescue things, but it was too late. Everything went up in flames. Everything. Furniture, books, photograph albums. All the essentials of my life. Things that meant nothing to me. Until they were gone. Catherine, you don't have to.
Well, your pulse is normal. Nothing out of the ordinary there either. Stomach cramps, you said?
Crippling.
Probably something you ate. I'll give you something to settle it. What medications are you taking already?
Oh, I thought perhaps a couple of chlorodexofenerol might do the trick.
That's a bit drastic, isn't it?
A friend recommended.
For stomach cramps.
Isn't it appropriate?
Where did your friend hear about it?
I think he was prescribed it.
Ah, well, I don't want to alarm you, but I think your friend has something a bit more serious than stomach cramps.
Oh, what's it for?
It's chemotherapy.
Cancer?
I'm very sorry, I'm afraid so. Here, swallow these.
You must be mistaken.
I know what I'm talking about, Mr. Carmody.
Get out.
What?
Just get out and leave me alone.
No, look, Mr. Carmody, I realise this must be very upsetting.
Get out! I'll make the nurse a full apology.
All right, I'll patch it up with her. On one condition.
What?
I still have no takers for the Friday talk slot.
Oh, no, really?
Oh, look. Lots of our guests have stocks and shares. I know they'd love to have the benefit of your expertise. It's just for half an hour.
All I have to do is answer a few questions.
Yes, that's all.
Very well.
Oh, wonderful. 2:30, Main Lounge Friday.
In return, I want to ask a favour of you.
You're a man of business, all right. What is it?
When my son signed me in here, he must have filled in some sort of form in sending me.
You want to see it?
No. I'm talking about Mrs. Palmer.
I'm sorry. Information about other guests is strictly confidential. You must understand that.
Yes, of course, I do understand that these are exceptional circumstances.
In what way?
She left these in my room last night. She said it was chemotherapy.
Yes. It's part of a new treatment for cancer. They're calling it a breakthrough.
What is the success rate?
I really couldn't say. Why don't you ask Mrs. Palmer?
Oh, no, I couldn't do that. She tried so hard to keep her illness from him. And it can be successful.
I don't want to raise false hopes, Mr. Comedy.
Will you see if these pills get back then?
Yes, no problem. I'll say one of the cleaning staff. Gerald, you're not wearing a suit.
Or a tie. Your carriage is at the door, my lady.
What carriage?
For the mystery trip.
What mystery trip?
But if I told you that, it wouldn't be a mystery, would it?
All right. What are we looking for?
You haven't read your guidebook very carefully. Somewhere out there in that bay, your hero Tristan fell in love with Isolde. Now, according to this, he was sent to Ireland by his cousin King Mark to bring Isolde back here to be the king's bride. But on the voyage back, they fell in love.
I know. They drank a love potion by mistake.
Ah.
Well, don't you find that romantic?
Well, I suppose so, but if it was a magic potion, then it was out of their hands. What about lesser mortals like you and me? And how can we be sure that it's love? It might be something more explicable, like seeing our dimension.
Oh, sun's almost gone.
Well, it is December after all. Don't let the daisies fool you. You know, I think it wasn't some magic potion that made them fall in love. I think it was the sea voyage.
What are those?
Listen, Catherine. I've managed to book the last 2 cabins on a Christmas cruise to the Bahamas. We fly to Florida on the 22nd and sail off on Christmas Eve.
You've gone mad.
It's the sanest thing I've done in years.
I can't accept this.
It's entirely selfish, I assure you.
Gerald.
No, listen, Catherine, listen. I'm 73 years old. It's over half a century since I last fell in love. Even then, I wasn't absolutely sure because I got nothing to compare it with. No.
You don't understand.
Please, let me finish. I don't know much about ecstasy or great passion or the stuff of legend. But if being in love means not being able to get you out of my mind and wanting to be with you for every second of every day, then I am in love with you. There's no doubt about it, I'm sorry.
You know nothing about me.
I know enough. I've spent the most wonderful few days with you. I want it to go on.
You'll have to give me time to think.
Of course.
It must have cost you a fortune.
It means spending time alone with you. It's cheap at any price.
Can you get your money back if I can't go?
Of course, I'm no fool. They told me that if I called them by 5 o'clock this afternoon, I'd get a full refund. I'm damned, it's 5 past. Still love you.
First, you must understand. The decision isn't entirely up to me. I've been ill recently, and it wouldn't be fair to say anything without checking with my doctor.
The Caribbean. Come on, he's bound to say yes.
Oh, Gerald, it would be wonderful. Christmas in the Bahamas. Oh, dear. Excuse me. Mr. Carmody, Miss Glaislow passed on your apologies.
Oh, that's all right.
No, that's not what I mean. She explained the whole situation, and I'm the one who should apologize.
It's not necessary.
I should have known as soon as you mentioned chlorhexafenaril.
Please keep your voice down.
Lord, yes, that's her room opposite Ned. Such a lovely woman, and such a brave fight.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
You know.
It doesn't make any difference.
Difference? Of course it makes a difference. Gerald, I have cancer.
But you're on medication, and it's working, isn't it?
At the moment. But it's like a pendulum. Any day it can swing the other way.
But it may not. Look, we must take each day as it comes. It's just a cruise, Catherine.
You and I know it's more than that. And you wouldn't have suggested it if you hadn't found out.
I don't pity you, Catherine. I love you.
Listen, Gerald. The treatment seems to be working, yes. But if it doesn't, my specialist has been wonderfully informative about the days I have coming to me. And I wouldn't want to share them with anyone. Especially someone as loving and as kind.
Catherine. Catherine.
Comedy.
Yes?
Are you fit? I looked for you at breakfast to lunch, but you've been keeping to your room. We're expecting quite a turnout. You're not going to let me down, I hope.
I'll be there.
Main lounge, 10 minutes. All right?
A minute.
Is the trip down there?
Yes, I think straight out of Bottom Moor.
Oh, Mr. Carmody, this is my nephew, John.
Hello?
Mr. Carmody and I have been on a number of outings together.
What's happening?
John came to pick me up a day early.
Why?
I'm afraid my conference was an absolute washout. Frankly, I wasn't willing to waste the time.
I thought you were here until the weekend.
I'm not upsetting anyone's plans, am I?
No, of course not. Mr. Carmody understands.
You can't. You can't.
Gerald, please.
Look, I don't mean to interfere, but I think my aunt wants to be left alone to pack. Why don't we go and have a drink?
Why don't you mind your own business?
Why don't I? I'll wait in the lobby, shall I?
No, no need for that. I could do with your help, actually.
Catherine.
I know why Mr. Carmody is so upset. He's giving a talk on stocks and shares to the guests, and he was rather anxious that I should be there.
I'm sure we have time to listen to a bit of it.
Any minute now, isn't it?
So you're an expert on stocks and shares?
It was my profession.
I'm in securities. Same but different.
What's this?
Plonk.
What?
My pull-on tape to complete your musical education. It's after 2:30.
Well, we'll just finish packing, and then we'll be right down. I'm not sure we'll be able to stay for all of it, but I could certainly do with a few tips.
We'll say goodbye now. Have a wonderful Christmas, Gerald. And thank you for everything you tried to do for me. Now, check the bathroom.
Well, see you down there.
All right, and that's the first question. Yes, Miss Dean. My mother invested heavily in war bonds. They yield a pittance. Should I sell them and invest in something with a more profitable payout? Mr. Carmody?
Yeah, your mother didn't buy them for profit, Miss Dean. She bought them to help the country. They're what you call perpetual bonds. They're more an act of faith than an investment.
But supposing I wanted to sell them?
There's a market for them, I'm afraid. I mean, they'll keep paying out to your children and your children's children.
But I don't have any children. Well, thank you, Miss Dean. And who's next? Mrs. Carmichael.
I've been advised that my portfolio contains too many blue chip stocks. Consequently, I should add a few high-risk ventures. My question is, how high is high risk?
Recently, I was told I shouldn't gamble on a high-risk investment. But sometimes, even in business, a man must take a risk because it gives his life purpose again. I mean, others, the bright boys may say, forget it, there's no future in it. But there's no use in telling him that, because there's no future without it either. They're talking to a man who's found a reason to believe in himself again. He must follow it through, despite the risk, despite the possible heartache, because that too is part of the bargain, part of the commitment. And there's every chance it may work. But even if it doesn't, he will be happy to invest whatever he